people like, bro, I don't understand what they're doing in this phase because I don't know who the big bad guy is. But like, they literally from this entire phase has been a who done it, right?
Make some
As
noise!
up as the WandaVision story was and how it ended, people not knowing, right? Like how WandaVision was like, man, I up, let me fix this. But she gets her hands on a very important item at the end of that series that leads directly into Multiverse of Madness. So it's like if you see that, then you know where Wanda stems from, right? Now, as much as Loki actually affects Spider-Man No Way Home and Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness, Kevin Feige actually said the connection recently, which makes a lot more sense. Me and NYK was talking about this. It makes a lot more sense going backwards. But just to get back to my original point, the fact that like Marvel is even taking the time to do this and giving you like shit that you can actually watch on in the meantime is like amazing. And you know it works because even HBO Max is doing the same thing to a more extreme degree because it's HBO and they can be a lot more vulgar and that kind of fits DC anyway. But they're trying to mimic the same thing. And it's not a bad thing because I feel like it works best for MCU or just the comic book genre overall, right? Because I feel like the balance is being able to make a film that stands by itself and that gives payoff to all those people who do the extra shit, right? So, in the perfect example is the Multiverse of Madness. The name is MLK says, I liked all the shows except for Hawkeye. But that's the thing. Like, so that's the thing, right? Just like every comic book that came out, like, I didn't read every fucking comic book that ever existed, right? So some of these characters, I definitely have to go and be like, oh, it's not many characters that I'm like, damn, I don't know who the fuck that is. But, like, it's a lot of characters where I go back and I'm like, oh, they actually had a crossover in this arc that I read. I'll go back and start there, read that up until a point where, you know, I understand the character from my own personal reading as opposed to like just reading up, you know? So those shows make a huge difference when it comes to like enjoying those movies, because I guarantee you if you watch, and this is why I tell people this, if you watch WandaVision, that's plus like 2 to your enjoyment of the Multiverse of Madness. If you watch Loki, that's plus another 2, not including the plus 2 that goes to like enjoying Spider-Man No Way Home more. So it's like it literally adds an enjoyment factor to these movies and whatever content you choose to like take in after. Wanda only knows pain from her beginning to the end of WandaVision, right? And they gave you a fucking good show behind it. It wasn't even like a typical like fucking... The thing is, people are like grading these Marvel shows, and like I get it because, you know, everybody for some reason they like to compare so many things, right? But like I feel like people taking in this stuff, like they still don't understand the source material, and it's, you know, not any slight to them, so they're not gonna see these small payoffs. Like they're not paying attention in a lot of instances to like the small nuances of like some of these lines, some of these show lines, and like where it's coming from. So they won't see it. So like people like, bro, I don't understand what they're doing in this phase because I don't know who the big bad guy is. But like they literally from this entire phase has been a who done it, right? Like if you look at like this entire MCU phase, it's literally like a who done it. We were literally trying to figure out who started the whole breakdown of the multiverse, right? But like it seems crazy if you just go watch fucking Spider-Man No Way Home, right? It seems crazy if you just go watch Multiverse of Madness. So people are like, bro, I don't even get it. Like I'm tired of the multiverse and this is that and other. But I'm gonna tell you what happened. This is what's gonna happen. By the time they get to the payoff of this series, everybody that doesn't understand it, they're going to go back and watch it from the beginning. They're going to be like, oh, damn, I didn't even see this. I didn't even notice that Wanda was going through this shit. I didn't even remember in Spider-Man No Way Home that I don't even remember in Moon Knight when they said, I didn't even watch Loki, so I don't even know who that fucking one girl is. And I didn't watch What If, so who the fuck is this? You know what I'm saying? Like, when you go in kind of like semi-blind, you open yourself up to like all these other questions, and curiosity is good, but you got to understand, like some people are going to take that curiosity and be like, it's too much, I'm not interested anymore, and that's up to them. But don't come and fucking ask me questions afterwards, because one, I hate spoiling shit unless you really want me to spoil it, you know, unless you're never going to watch it, Don't even tell me to spoil. Like, if you even plan on watching it in the future, don't let me spoil it for you. You know? Yo, exactly. Yo, Chris Nuts, Moon Knight was the shit. Isaac is a great actor. Exactly, bro. I think that like Marvel taking these big name actors who can act their ass off, by the way. Shout outs to Oscar Isaac, who can act their ass off and like put them in these and I'm not gonna even say they're one-dimensional roles, but a lot of time when you're like translating some of these characters from comic book to movie and film, which is happening a lot, right? Everybody's saying this. They're like, oh man, the superhero genre is just this one thing and this is that and other. But like the thing about it is that like, one, I'm gonna watch that shit anyway because I like comic books, and if it's good, it's good. Two, they're adding a lot of like depth to these characters that like you wouldn't even think would see ever get played out by live like actors. Like that's what I really like to see, because a lot of times they go do research and they study these characters, right? And like acting and just being a thespian overall is like them interpreting these characters into like how they would feel and how they interact and the whole nine, right? So anyways, I'm going on a tangent, and I started going into just like how good it is to see these actors, and got away from the point that people are missing a lot of subtle nuances when it comes to telling people about the characters who could potentially be the big bad. So people not knowing what happened in Loki and seeing the connections to Kang is one thing. That's one instance of it, right? But another instance of it is knowing who Kang is, his lineage, and his connection to the Fantastic Four. Like, there is a B trail. There's a B trail going to this big storyline that actually I've actually been hinting at it myself. I've literally been me personally, like people are like, bro, Steve, like, why is this, hold on, let me show you guys. Why is this screensaver so sick? What is the significance of this screensaver? But if you go and you look at my screensaver, you see some pretty significant things, right? You see some pretty significant things, right? So like, let's just point it out, right? Like, what just from the start, you got like Captain America going up against another Captain America, right? And then you have Thor, the mighty Thor down here to your bottom right, fighting another Thor. Now this is just classic Thor, right? So that's like, what? Like, that does not make that much sense. And then you got Iron Man versus this cool looking armored Iron Man, and then you got Miles Morales Spider-Man. Even this world in the background is kind of a tease. Like, all of this stuff plays into like this big like secret overarching story that Marvel honestly does a really good job of explaining to me. And once again, my bias could be showing here, because like when they talk about this shit in the movie, like a lot of times I'm like, I know exactly what you're getting at. Where I'm like, got it already. I fucking knew it. I knew it. I fucking knew it. You know, even though I know people don't see the big payoff coming, is that like the multiverse of madness sets up like potentially one of the craziest things that we could ever see. Like, I don't even want to fucking say it yet, but like the fact that I really do feel like they're playing at Secret Wars. Multiverse of Madness plays so perfectly into it. Loki plays so perfectly into it. And now that like I have like this, you know, this even more developed understanding of it, What If plays a major role into it, you know? And what happens after, right? But I will say I even have a theory about what's happening after.